Good morning, friends. Welcome to today's presentation. We're happy to see so many supporters on this call from throughout the Northwest. We're excited to tell you about the work that we've been doing over these past 3 months, responding to the COVID pandemic. The reality is, because of your support, we have been able to serve people during this unprecedented time. Families have turned to the Salvation Army for basic needs, and thanks to you, we have continued to meet those needs. Before we get started, I have some sad news to share with you. First, many of you have met our esteemed colleague, Commissioner Kurt Berger. Very sad to tell you that Commissioner Kurt passed away earlier this week. Kurt was a retired officer and international leader within our organization who had, for the past few years, worked for the Northwest Division as part of our team. His professional expertise in finance and fundraising was literally unparalleled, and he was truly a gift to our organization. He was also a man of strong faith and unwavering in his commitment to the Salvation Army's mission. Finally, he had a great sense of humor. We're going to miss him dearly, and I would ask you to keep Kurt's family in your prayers during these days. Also have some more sad news. Today's call was to be hosted by Lieutenant Colonel Bill Dickinson, Divisional Commander for the Salvation Army's Northwest Division. Colonel Bill had an unexpected medical procedure yesterday and is at home recuperating. This was his idea. He very much wanted to share with you this afternoon. So when we got the news of his procedure, we opted to film his comments in advance. I'm going to share his video momentarily. We're also going to hear from several other colleagues who have worked on the front lines, and I'll be back at the end to do some Q&A. Thank you. Here we go.
Good morning and welcome, everyone. My name is Lieutenant Colonel Bill Dickinson. I am the Divisional Commander of the Salvation Army in the Northwest Division. I want to say thank you for joining us on the call today. I know you will appreciate learning more about how the Salvation Army is responding to COVID-19. Today our audience includes many supporters, donors, local advisory board members, and community partners. We take your support very seriously, and you trust us with your donations. We work diligently to be good stewards of those resources. So I want to say a big thank you for having faith in our work. And now more than ever, we need you. Some of you on the call today are new supporters of the Salvation Army. Whatever prompted you to support the Salvation Army, whether it was a long time ago or recent, please know how much we value you and your support. So thank you very much. Please take a look at the map on the screen. I mentioned the Northwest Division of the Salvation Army. Well, what does that mean? The Salvation Army is an international organization with a history of more than 150 years. Here in the United States, we're divided into regions, or divisions as we call them. This area is of the Northwest Division and includes the area you see on the map. It includes Washington State, Northern Idaho, in Western Montana. Well, I'm privileged, along with my wife, to be the divisional leaders of this area, where we have an outstanding team of Salvation Army officers and staff members serving in the local communities here. The Salvation Army is everywhere, which is why our work during COVID-19 has been so effective. We were already working in every community throughout the region, so we were able to pivot and increase quickly how we responded to the needs in the communities. When news of COVID-19 hit, we immediately transitioned into our tried and true approach to managing disaster situations. We use the term EDS, which means Emergency Disaster Services. In the past, this response plan has been used for things like hurricanes, floods, mudslides, and even wildfires in the summertime. But now we focus on the virus outbreak and its economic impact. Look at the graph on the screen and note the increase in service from last year to this year. Two areas in particular where the need is more than double: the number of grocery boxes and the number of shelter nights. You will hear more about these from other team members who've been working on the front lines in these areas. They will tell you about the work in the local communities, how it has been changed in the last few months, and how you are making it possible for the Salvation Army to help local families. I'm pleased now to introduce you to Gina Sullivan.
Hello, my name is Gina Sullivan, and I'm the director of the Salvation Army William Booth Center, which is a homeless shelter for men in Seattle. When COVID-19 began, the Salvation Army immediately pivoted so we could respond to immediate needs. Food and shelter became priorities throughout the Northwest, and some services went on hiatus, such as our after-school programs, our camps, and athletic leagues. But every Salvation Army location throughout the Northwest responded to needs in the local community. Here in Seattle, our emergency shelters needed to quickly transition to accommodate more guests and to allow for appropriate social distancing. We added or expanded our emergency shelters in cities throughout the Northwest, including Seattle, Everett, Tacoma, Bremerton, Centralia, Olympia, and Spokane. Look at the screen. I'm going to share some photos of our emergency shelters. Every location included daily meals and hygiene facilities. And caseworkers were available to work with our homeless guests to share resources, referrals, and for permanent housing options. My colleagues and I are honored to provide these services on a day-to-day basis, particularly during this pandemic. Take a look at this last slide. This is my friend Norm. He was homeless for several years, and our housing navigator was able to find him permanent housing in May. If there's anything you remember from today's presentation, I hope you remember Norm, because your support helped the Salvation Army find a home for Norm. And because of you, Norm is no longer homeless. There are so many inspiring stories from the Northwest, but now you're going to meet some of my colleagues who are going to share about Salvation Army work in the past few months, work that you made possible.
Hello, my name is Captain Rory Ward. Together with my wife, Sarah, we lead the Salvation Army here in Bellingham, Washington. Our food bank has seen significant growth during the past 3 months. Before the pandemic, we distributed about 100 food boxes per week in Bellingham. But during this time, we've seen the numbers increase steadily. Last week, we distributed nearly 1,500 food boxes. Let me explain why we've seen such extraordinary growth in the number of visits to our food bank. First, of course, the need is increasing due to families losing their jobs. Second, we are meeting increased needs by being open more often and also allowing families to pick up boxes as often as needed. There are no restrictions to who can get a food box or how often. Let me share a few photos on the screen. Here are a few photos of our work in Bellingham. You can see our food bank and the food boxes. And we'll have some images of cars lined up to pick up the food boxes. And I must say that I've been very proud of our work during this time. We're smaller than some other Salvation Army locations, but it hasn't stopped us from helping more people. I'd like to say a thank you to our volunteers who have helped sort products, build food boxes, and distribute to our neighbors. We couldn't do it without them.
I'm Major Laurie Smith, and this is my husband, Major Phil Smith, and together we lead the Salvation Army here in Helena, Montana. And you know, as COVID-19 hit and the schools closed, local students were left without some of the meals that they depend on while attending school. And the school district could no longer provide students with a bag of food and snacks for the weekend. And this is traditionally a very valuable resource for these families, as it really helps them stretch their grocery budget. So the school district turned to the Salvation Army to meet this need. And we quickly mobilized to provide these food bags to these families.
So on the screen now are a few photos of our meal packing and distribution. We hosted this meal packing at the Salvation Army, and we worked with local partners to coordinate the delivery to all of these schools. Families would come to the schools and pick up their meals, and each bag had enough food in it and to include snacks to help them get through the weekend. And it's with your support that we were able to provide over 13,500 food packs to these families in Helena during these past few months. And we just want to say thank you.
Hello, I'm Kip Charbonneau, the Center Director for the Salvation Army Croc Center in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. The Coeur d'Alene Croc Center is a unique expression of the Salvation Army services in the Northwest. It's a church and community center with fitness facility, life skills classes, and social services. When COVID-19 hit, our work changed 180 degrees. With our large facility and geographic location, we became a headquarters for disaster services on the eastern side of the Northwest Division. We worked with the Office of Emergency Management to deploy the Salvation Army Croc Center staff throughout the region. Our staff was reassigned to the front lines, serving with local health districts and working at local food banks. Here are a few photos of our staff serving on the front lines. We were fortunate to keep them employed even though our facility was closed. I give them much credit for transitioning so smoothly and embracing their temporary roles. Our center became a distribution location for local families to pick up grocery boxes and prepared meals. We even had a visit from Idaho Governor Brad Little, who toured our facility and helped distribute the food. We also continued to serve the community through our health and athletic programs. We began live streaming some of our fitness classes and found a new way to engage our members. The virtual classes have been so successful, we are continuing to offer them even as our facility is reopening to the public.
Hi, I'm Major Amy Reardon, and my husband and I together lead the Salvation Army in Seattle in North King County. And we are having an active food bank. And I wanted to tell you a little bit about that. Normally our food bank has numbers of about 150 a week. Right now we're getting closer to 200 a week. And we see a lot of people that we've never seen before. In fact, a lot of people tell us that they've never had to use a food bank before. Perhaps they've been furloughed or they haven't received their unemployment check. There are a lot of things happening out there, and it's pretty hard for people who've never had this experience. They don't know how to work these things, and honestly, they feel like a little bit of their dignity has been taken from them. So we do our best to serve everyone with love and dignity, and it's been an incredibly pleasant environment, and people have been so grateful. So today, actually, there's an interview that we'd like you to watch with a client of ours named Diana. She's a single mom who hasn't been able to work under the circumstances, and we've been able to provide a lot of help for her. We're very pleased and proud, and I hope you'll enjoy this video about Diana.
My name is Diana, and I am a business owner. I clean houses. I'm a single mom. I have an 8-year-old son. So far, we had the quiet life until the COVID arrived, and people didn't want me to go to their houses to clean anymore. And with the school closure, everything was closed. We needed to stay home. So since the 12th of March, I stopped working, and I was sitting home without any income, without any resources. And I couldn't go to the grocery store because I needed to keep my savings to pay my bills. And I started coming to the food bank, and we limited our food with what we get here from the Salvation Army Food Bank. So I didn't spend any cents since the COVID from my savings for food. Everything we were consuming at home was from the Salvation Army. So I like my son eating home and healthy. So usually it's more soups with meat and vegetables. And we got all this from the Salvation Army Food Bank. So I didn't even need to go to the the stores to buy, like we got all this lettuce and tomatoes, like everything to make nice salads and everything to make nice soups. And so far we did great with all like expenses, just putting that money to pay our bills, to make sure that we are not in the street. And the Salvation Army Food Bank saved us with, you can say that we saved a whole amount of money just with the food bank. I wanted to thank all the donors that helped this program by the Salvation Army. They were a huge support for the families in need, in my case. So I wanted to thank them in person because they had an impact in my life in person.
Hello, my name is Zach Harvey. I am the logistics manager for the Salvation Army, coordinating our logistics response here in the Northwest Division. I have the privilege of sourcing, finding, and procuring food and supplies to go out to our different service units throughout the Northwest Division. We are blessed to have wonderful partnerships throughout the communities that we serve that help us continue our mission. We partnered up with the Jesus Christ Church of Latter-day Saints to provide over 5,000 food boxes to people in need within the state of Washington. I'll never forget handing a food box to a gentleman who said it was his first time coming to a food bank and that it took a lot for him to get there, but he was so thankful for the food. We put a lot of effort into these food boxes. Why don't we take a look at the video that we have and see kind of the effort that went into these food boxes.
Wow. You know, even seeing that video again now, it's just amazing what our team was able to accomplish. I spent many days at that warehouse helping coordinate the building and distribution of those food boxes, and I'm just so incredibly proud of our team. Despite the success of partnership and service, we ask ourselves, what's next? We're regularly evaluating the needs of every community and responding appropriately. While every community has been impacted by COVID-19, the future may look different from city to city. Although we don't know what the future holds, we do know that we can count on supporters like you. With you at our side, the Salvation Army is going to continue to work our mission statement to meet human need without discrimination. So we're going to ask you for questions. I'd like to hear from you. So if you could type in your questions into the chat section, and we will answer as many as we can in the time that we have remaining. We already have a few, so let's go ahead and get started. The first question, do you think the shelter will continue to be one of the top needs, and what else is needed? Yeah, we expect food and shelter will continue to be our top need. We definitely expect rent and utility assistance to increase soon as well. Many communities have moratoriums on evictions, and utility companies have given grace period to pay bills. But in the coming months, that's going to come to an end. Families are going to be coming to us to help them pay their bills. And we already have programs in place, but we expect the number of households needing help is going to be much higher than we've seen before. Let's look at another question. How is the staff holding up, especially ones serving on the front lines? That's a great question. This has been an incredibly intense 3 months for us. Frontline staff has worked overtime in what have been some incredibly tough situations. It's been incredibly stressful too, as we have had to adapt and work through how we operate in this new world. We've provided personal protective gear to keep them safe, and bottom line is we're just incredibly impressed, incredibly impressed by their dedication and their resilience. It's definitely taken its toll on our team, but they have come through with flying colors. We're incredibly proud of them. Another question, have you started church services again? Well, our in-person worship services have started again in some communities, but most have not. Due to local restrictions on the number of people who can congregate, and in many of our communities, our church attendees are older and therefore more vulnerable. One of the good things that's actually come out of COVID-19 is the Salvation Army locations have started doing virtual worship services, broadcasting via Facebook and YouTube, for example. The virtual services have actually gone very well, and we expect that those virtual services will continue into the future, even after we start meeting together as congregations in the same building. What are we most proud of? I think I'm most proud of our officers and staff who have responded quickly over these past few months. Our team has pivoted. They have looked at how we continue to do what we need to do and build upon what we do and do it even better, but under new circumstances. Especially at the beginning, when everything was happening so fast and was so unpredictable, everyone just rolled up their sleeves and jumped in. It has really been an astounding thing to watch. And so I think that's probably what I'm most proud of, is just seeing our team adapt and continue to serve. So how can you help? Well, if you've watched and want to help, there's a few ways you can do that. One, please make a donation. You can donate online, and remember, every penny of your gift stays right here in your community. Second, our thrift stores are beginning to reopen, so please give them your business. Shop at our stores and donate items if you can. As you know, our thrift stores directly support the work of the Salvation Army in the communities that they are in. So help us increase those revenues at the stores, and that will directly impact the support for our programs. Friends, we need to wrap up this call. It's been a great time this morning, and I appreciate your participation and taking time out of your busy schedules to learn more about the Salvation Army in the Northwest. On behalf of Colonel Bill Dickinson and the entire Northwest team, I want to sincerely thank you for your support. It makes all that you have heard possible. You make the work of the Salvation Army possible year-round. Your extraordinary support in recent months has allowed us to continue to meet increased needs across the Northwest. The magnitude of what remains is significant, and I want to personally ask you for your continued support. As we say goodbye, we're going to share a final slide that will have some contact information. I encourage you to visit our website and learn more about our work. If you'd like to contact us with questions or ideas, please refer to the email address listed. Finally, on behalf of the people who we have helped through the Salvation Army, the mums and dads who were able to put food on the table for their children, the individuals who needed a place to stay for the night, and the countless people who just had nowhere else to turn, thank you. Thank you for your generosity and your willingness to share what you can. Have a good afternoon, and God bless you.